The Joy Perspective, the podcast where I share life's challenges, things I've learned through years of personal development, and help others shift their perspective and find their joy. I'm Lauren Valdez, and together we'll dive into how changing the way we think can unlock possibilities, spark creativity, and transform the everyday. Let's dive in.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode of The Joy Perspective. I'm Lauren Valdez, and today we are talking about the joy that can be found in understanding. And as we go into this holiday season and honestly, everyday life, there are two forms of understanding that I want to talk about. The first is in understanding others and understanding where they're coming from. I know for me in particular, going to family holidays or getting around family, sometimes there's so much joy and happiness that comes in those moments. But there's also moments of angst or hurt that can come from those. Now, depending on which spectrum your family lies, more of the joy and happiness or more of the angst, I want to share something with you that can actually help you. And that is if you go into these settings or these situations with the understanding that the person you're interacting with is coming with their own set of beliefs, their own set of experiences, their own set of insecurities, and honestly, their own set of doubts. So sometimes when we get that relative that snaps back at us or uses a tone that we don't feel is kind and we feel attacked, we take it personally. But the reality is, if you look at this from their understanding or their perspective, you kind of distance yourself from it. You realize it's more about them than it is yourself. I had the privilege of going to lunch with a friend, and she just really enlightened me with how she has taken the time to understand her husband and the things that make him tick, the things that make him on edge. And she's really worked on understanding that when he is in these moods or these moments, she's not going to take it personally. And she actually shared a story with me about how in a certain situation, she was able to slow down and go, "You know what? I am a good wife, and what I was doing was caring and kind and responsible. And what he's upset about is not actually about me." And because she was able to come at it from that understanding, she was able to find joy in it. She was proud of herself. She knew that she had done the right thing. And just because somebody else doesn't receive it the way that you intend it, that says more about them than it does you. That says more about what they're going through than it does you. And that's not to say that when somebody says something or somebody does something in response to what you've done, that you have no responsibility in it or no accountability. Because if you were rude or mean or whatever else, then yeah, their response is because you were not being kind. But if you know, and I love the saying, that you kept your side of the street clean, you were doing what you needed to do, you were doing the right thing, then it really is on that other person. And if you go into situations, I know this from coworkers. There may be coworkers who I don't get along with the best or that I don't have a great relationship with. So it's hard to connect with them. And if I go into some of the situations that I go into with them or conversations with them, and I think about how it has more to do with them than it does me with the way that they're speaking to me or the way that they're responding to something, I distance myself and I don't take ownership for how they're responding. It's not my fault they're getting so upset about something. We're just trying to work through this situation, right? Hopefully that makes sense to you. So, the first understanding we talked about is going into situations, understanding that other people are going to carry their own struggles. They're going to carry their own beliefs and their own insecurities. And so, when they respond to you or they say something to you, that's not your ownership. You don't own that. In fact, not letting their reactions fuel your reactions is actually an act of compassion and an act of kindness. It's you recognizing and understanding that they may have other things going on, and you're not going to play into that. You're going to just continue to be compassionate, I don't want to say let people walk all over you, but don't play into it. Be compassionate in those moments and understand that they may be coming from a place of insecurity. Now, the second form of understanding that I want to talk about is actually understanding that you are responsible for you. You have the decision to make whatever decision you make. And the reason I'm bringing this up is oftentimes when we get around family or we get around other people, they have thoughts and opinions about what you're doing. And if you go into every situation understanding that this is your life, this is your family, this is your whatever it is, it could be your vacation if you're going on vacation with another family, and you go, you know what, this is our vacation too as a family. You understand that just because somebody else wants to do something doesn't mean you have to. Just because somebody else has an opinion about what you're doing doesn't mean you have to respond to that. Ultimately, they can think what they want, they can say what they want, and you can still do what you want to do. This understanding is giving yourself permission to live your life. Do not be swayed by other people. Do not feel pressured by other people. Now, I do want to say, if you have someone that you value their opinion and you value their counsel, and that is somebody that you want to bounce an idea off of, they may sway what you decide to do because you wanted to then change what you were going to do. Does that make sense? You're not changing what you're going to do. You're not reacting and doing what other people want you to do. Instead, that's different. You're sharing counsel with someone. You're sharing a conversation with them to work something out and come to a decision. That is different than somebody else poo-pooing all over you and what you want to do for your family and then feeling guilty about it. An example of this is don't let family guilt you into saying you have to spend the holidays with them. If you and your family think that that's what's best, then go and do that. But if you and your family need to take the time and do something else, then you do that. Coming with the understanding that other people can think what they want, say what they want, believe what they want, and that doesn't have to make it true for you. It doesn't have to change your actions. Understand that you are in charge of yourself. And I know this may sound like, well, duh, but for some of us, this is the permission they need to hear. It's not selfish. It's not only caring about yourself. It's protecting your peace. And it's knowing what your family needs right now. You know, if that family member called you and they needed you to drop what you were doing and come and help, and that's what you want to do, go do that. That's different. That's an emergency. That's something out of a need. But oftentimes around the holiday, I know how much pressure comes from family trying to guilt trip you to go and do something. Now, here's the hard part. This is so true for my husband and I. We actually want to be in two places at once. We do want to go see both sides. We do want to, and we had to like struggle and wrestle with this for a bit until we finally made the decision to stay home for the holiday. And it was hard because we wanted to go be in both places at one time. But that's another thing. Don't feel the pressure to be in two places at once. Accept the decision that you make and live with that decision. Don't wrestle with it. Don't let it get you down. Don't feel the guilt about it. It's okay to want to be in two places at once. I know that oh so well. But at the end of the day, you can only be in one place at that time. So the two understandings we talked about is understanding that somebody else is carrying their own sets of beliefs, their own sets of insecurities, and the way that they react to you or the way that they speak to you sometimes has nothing to do with you, and it's all the stuff they're carrying themselves. And the second one is understanding that just because somebody else thinks you should do something or says you should do something or believes you should do something does not mean you actually need to do it. I hope these two understandings bring you joy in this holiday season, but also in every day.
Thank you for joining me today on the Joy Perspective. I hope this episode helped you shift your mindset and find a little bit more joy in your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss one. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Meet Lauren Valdez for more inspiration and updates. I'd love to hear your thoughts and connect with you. Until next time, keep shifting your perspective and finding your joy.